Coastal areas are essential to New Brunswickers. These special places support wildlife and lifestyles that are important to our cultural identities and livelihoods. Dunes, salt marshes, coastal forests, and beaches are all dynamic areas that shelter our communities from extreme weather while also providing us with vital natural resources. Healthy Coasts NB recognizes that communities living on the coast face unique challenges with conservation and climate change. This is why we are working with communities to identify and support win-win conservation activities that will help coastal communities while protecting nature and that unique coastal way of life. Bringing together key partners, the Healthy Coasts NB team identified several areas of interest. Through this process, Youghall Beach in Bathurst, New Brunswick became home to the region's first living shoreline project involving a species at risk, the threatened bank swallow. Alongside experts in the area of sustainable ecosystem restoration from Helping Nature Heal, the Healthy Coasts team made the Living Shoreline pilot project a reality. But what is a living shoreline? How is it made? And why would we want to create one? We caught up with the team on May 1st, 2024 for the Living Shoreline Spring Maintenance Workshop.
Yeah, it's a really good question because I think the definition keeps kind of morphing and changing. It depends on your perception of the ecosystem and how you live within it. But typically the definition goes something like this, that it is a dynamic, living, literally living system. So living means plants and animals working together, and we are the animals too, including the birds and the bugs and the worms and things. And so we're working together to slow down the progression of erosion and other climate change issues. We don't have control over sea level rise. We don't have control over big storms and things. So we're kind of sitting ducks on the edge. So the best way to impact humanity is to get to work. Right? Get your hands in the dirt, start learning, start doing things, and feel that empowering stewardship awareness come over you so that you feel like there's something that can be done here. There's some options. So this workshop is a multi-day event. We spent all day yesterday collecting materials from the local environment, and now we're putting them together in a strategic pattern to mitigate the rate of erosion. Not that we're stopping it or we ever think that we could stop it. It's really about slowing down the processes so people can learn in a calm and intellectual way about the risks that we have living on the shore, and maybe they can make different decisions. It's really about educating with a tactile project, but also embedding the philosophies and the new lifestyle options that people can actually make different decisions than they've made before after they go through one of our workshops.
We're trying to adapt nature-based solutions to coastal erosion to the habitat needs of bank swallows. So coastal erosion is one of those pressures that communities are feeling really strongly. People are having a strong reaction to increasing sea levels, stronger storms, and they see parts of their properties and their communities. So this is a community park where we are today, literally getting washed out into the ocean. Part of that is a natural process, but part of that is accelerated through certain choices that we've made in the landscape. So that's the pressure that we're talking about today. So why did we choose Youghall Municipal Park to run this pilot project? There are a few reasons. One is the community. So we wanted that we had a lot of community support, we had a lot of community interest in this area, and you can't do a project like this without having community members who support it.
Yeah, so once I get this dug a little deeper. Okay, yeah.
So that was the first reason. We needed a location where there was a bank swallow colony, and there is a bank swallow colony here. The infrastructure that's located behind the cliff with the bank swallows in it isn't hard infrastructure like a cottage or a house or something with like a foundation. So that makes some of the uncertainty of the project easier to deal with, because you don't have that huge anxiety of someone's home being washed away if the infrastructure doesn't have time to solidify and take root before the next storm, because you never know when that next storm is going to come. So that was another factor in selecting this location.
So this living shoreline is special because bank swallows are a species at risk that return here each year. They use the eroding coastal cliffs during their breeding season, where they dig 60 to 90 centimeter burrows into the cliff face and then build a nest at the end. So bank swallows have declined across Canada 98% since 1970, and there's a number of reasons why that's happening. We're losing aerial insects, their main food source, across North America and South America. We're also altering their habitats that they need to survive, like coastal habitats where they breed, and also wetlands and farmlands where they forage. We're using pesticides, or we're filling them in and developing houses on them, which prevents them from using those habitats.
So today we're going to be doing a lot of work over top of the bank to try to stabilize it.
Living shorelines don't inherently protect bank swallow habitat. So we've modified the science behind living shorelines to accommodate for bank swallows and their colonies. So we've done things like planting further back from the cliff edge to ensure that the root systems won't take over and make the soil undiggable for their burrows. We've also shortened the wattle fence at the bottom of the slope and chosen to plant closer to the bottom of the slope and leaving the cliff face bare so that bank swallows can continue to use this habitat.
Like a garden, it needs to be nurtured, it needs to be cared for. It could be something as simple as passerbys tucking a willow branch back into the living fence. It could be cutting some things down from the face so that there's nothing blocking the trajectory for the bank swallow coming into their nests. It could be local garden groups growing native plants and adding them to the top to make that top part more diverse, to give more roots to hold the soil. It could be as simple as speaking to local municipal or provincial representatives and saying that you like what you're seeing happening. All of those things are contributions. All of them have enormous value, and all of them are important.
There's not enough research on birds in general, and especially on species at risk, because by the time we realize they're at risk, that's when we start to study them. So it's a little bit of a race against time to get as much information as we can about what bank swallows need to survive and thrive. So it's all about doing things like this, pilot sites and research and monitoring activities to try to learn more about them and then protect the things that we know they need in time before the population becomes extinct.
For the future of this project, we hope that it becomes a key demonstration site for learning how to incorporate bank swallow back into our coastlines, how to keep the habitat that we have and maybe make some extra room for them. They're disappearing so fast that without learning a new way to do things, we're going to lose them. That's it.
Bank swallows return to Canada from May to August, but the peak time to see bank swallows is between June and July. They're really easy to spot because they're super acrobatic in the air and they'll be flying all over the place above their colony. So anytime during the day is a great time to come out and see them. And if they're not there, it's still worth coming to check out what a living shoreline looks like and notice the difference between the mowed lawn that's around it and all of the native plants and wood debris and wildlife habitat that we built into this location to try to encourage nature to come back to a space where it was taken away from.
So that's what this project is about, is to give landowners here in Beresford and Baie des Chaleurs and Bathurst area a model to look at. So if they say like, hey, this looks a lot like my front yard, I could do that there. And it gives them another option, another opportunity, one that's hopefully respectful to their neighbors as well, because it'll help them all keep their beaches, help them keep their species, help them keep their ecosystems intact. And I think that we're starting to find out that that's more important than we maybe thought it was before. So it's just a new way of doing things. And, you know, some people will like it and some people it won't be for them. But there's usually some way to add a little bit more habitat to, even if you have done rock armoring already and you wanted to add in some habitat, then there are ways to do that through these pilot programs.
For more information, you can stay up to date with Nature NB by following them on social media and by visiting naturenb.ca. Share your knowledge with the Healthy Coasts NB team to make sure that the things you care about are protected.